So I gotta start seeds and talk at the same time. And I think that's okay. And I'm definitely not the person that's gonna be able to give you the science behind it. That's me personally. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. But today we are inside. We're inside and I know you can see we're starting seeds, y'all, for fall. I am super excited. Today is July the 16th, I believe. So I wanted to start them July the 15th. I'm a day late and it's honestly like early morning of the 17th, I do believe. Yeah, we're at 12:18. But today was a day where I had other things to do and I want to get my seeds started. Absolutely not telling anybody to stay up until 12 something to get some seeds started. For me, this works. I am somewhat of a night owl anyway, so for me, it's fine, but we're gonna start seeds today. I did a video with all of the seeds that I'm going to start. I will link it down in the description. I will see if I can remember to put a card up here as well. So I'm not gonna go through every seed that I'm starting today because I've already done that, but we're also not starting all of those seeds today. Things like bok choy, we're not starting today. Butterhead lettuces, we're not starting those today. The calendula and the nasturtiums, we're not gonna start today because I need a good amount of those. So I also need to free up some trays or either purchase some more trays. But yes, we're starting seeds today. I'm super excited. I'm starting kale. I'm starting cabbage. I'm starting collards. I am gonna start the slow bulk lettuce because this should last in a little bit of heat. We'll see how that goes. We're starting Brussels sprouts. We're starting broccoli, broccoli rabe, purple sprouting broccoli. That's getting started today too. We're also gonna start our Zabron shallots. We're gonna try shallots. We're not doing onions this year. And we're gonna start some Swiss chard. Before we do this, I need to look and see if I have more Swiss chard because I want a color other than just the red. I mentioned that in the video, but I never went back to find it. So that's all we're starting today. But I want to show y'all, it took me like an hour to get what I'm about to show you done. But I think that it's gonna make it, I know. It's going to make it easier for me to get these seeds planted because I am ahead of the game and the fact that my trays are already set up. Let me show you. So my trays are already set up. Soil in the tray, label in the trays as well. I will tell you how I decided what I'm starting in what trays. So I know you can see I have the 3.3 inch trays right here. This is going to be my Brussels sprouts, my purple sprouting broccoli, and my Swiss chard. So here's the thing. I sat in the floor. I only have 2 shelves that I have free downstairs to start seeds. And those shelves only hold 3 trays each, right? So I had to do this in a way where whatever I was starting today, they could go downstairs on the shelves in the seed starting space. The broccoli rabe, purple sprouting broccoli, the Long Island improved Brussels sprouts, the Swiss chard, we don't need a whole bunch of those. And to avoid having to pot up, I decided we'll put those in the 3.3 inch pots and they can all fit in this one tray. So that's how I decided on those. Our shallots are gonna go in here. Shallots can stay in their tray. Well, onions, alliums can kind of stay in their tray for a while before they have to be moved. So I figured these trays would work pretty well for that, right? Then you have your green magic broccoli here. We need a lot of green magic broccoli. This whole tray is going to be broccoli. I decided to put them into these cell trays so that when it is time to pot them up, because I will have to pot them up, I can pop them out pretty easily. It's kind of the same thing with the collards here, the kale here. We needed a decent amount, but we didn't need like a whole tray. And so I was able to mix all of this in and still be able to get the amount of plants that I need. Now, I have these set up to be 20, but this is 18, which is fine because I actually decided to plant extra and we still will have extra with 18. The Lacianato kale, red Russian kale, all of that is here. The Katarina, we needed, I want to say maybe 16, but I think there's 18 here. So we'll just plant 2 more. I think I already had extras, but we have extra spaces in the garden. This way, I won't have to pot up these Katarina cabbages and we still only have 6 trays that goes downstairs. So that was my thought on how we are doing this. trays. In case you were wondering how I decide on what trays. And most of the times I'm looking at how long is the plant going to be in the tray or how I'm going to plant it, right? The Brussels sprouts, the broccoli rabe, the Catarina cabbage, eventually they were going to end up in trays that big. But since I have the space right now, we're just gonna start them in that tray. Now y'all, listen, it's about to get real, okay? It's about to get very real out here in this backyard garden for me because we still have summer going. We still have summer harvest coming in, and we're about to start planting seeds for seedlings that will eventually be here soon for fall. I've never gardened on a scale this big, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about this. So now I gotta manage my time. I have to manage my time growing food. I have to manage my time to cook food, to preserve food, while also being present in all other aspects of my life. I recently started feeling like there was not enough hours in a day. And I'm sure all of us feel like that every now and then. But luckily I have Skillshare for times when I need a little bit of direction, whether it is trying to find a new hobby or learn a new skill. And I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I was feeling like I needed a little bit of support with time management. Skillshare has an abundance of classes available in time management. I settled on Time Management Toolbox, Master Your Productivity and Organization with Psychology-Based Systems and Tools. So to me, personal development does not have to be approached with one goal in mind. But hear me out. The class that I am taking is helping me manage my time, but on a full body and personal level. The instructor encourages me to set goals based on my priorities. So she incorporated goals like health, career, family, friends, relationships. She even gave us personal examples from her own life, which is one thing that I really like about Skillshare. It's like you're sitting down and having a conversation with another human. I've always thought that being a multitasker made me a good worker. But after taking this class, the instructor helped me to see that in actuality, it's really a stressor. So I'm a mom, I'm a gardener, I'm a daughter, I'm a content creator, but I don't have to be all of those things at one time. I can actually set blocks of time during my day to be each one of those things. And I personally loved that concept. And she even talked about procrastination. And so if you know me, you know I will tell you in a minute, I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to. And I'm still probably gonna do a little bit of that when I feel like it's necessary. But I'll definitely keep what I learned in the class in mind when I am choosing not to do things. But you know, there's one thing that the instructor said that kind of stuck with me. She said, just because you lack the motivation, it does not mean you lack the ability to do the thing. So I'm just gonna start practicing standing up and doing the thing. I really actually enjoyed the class and I took a lot away from it. So let me get this I love to-do list done, getting these seeds started. So if you haven't ever heard of Skillshare, Skillshare offers classes for hobbyists, creative professionals, and everyone in between. It's the best place to learn a creative skill or a new hobby. And Skillshare is the perfect platform for me to learn because I can learn at my own pace whenever and wherever I have time. And it is taught by humans, not AI. It's human-made learning in a digital world. If you are looking to reconnect to your creativity, maybe avoid a little bit of doom scrolling, a little bit of brain rot, Skillshare is where humans come to learn from humans. If you're interested in learning more about Skillshare, the first 500 people to click the link down in my description or to scan the QR code on the screen will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So thank you again to Skillshare for helping me manage my time in this busy gardening season and for sponsoring this video. All right, let's get to seed starting. So we're gonna start with our green magic broccoli. Let's talk. I'm gonna grab my tray for the green magic broccoli, but we're gonna talk about seed starting. A lot of people left comments kind of like early summer, late spring, saying that like they needed more information on starting seeds. Like they started them, they didn't survive, or I'm not really sure. That's what some people said. I'm really not sure why everyone asked, but we're gonna talk about seed starting, right? We all know I do not follow all the rules, right? When it comes to putting my seeds outside and putting them back in, take them back out, which is what they call hardening off. I don't do that. I take my seeds outside, I leave them outside. They might end up in a greenhouse, they might be out in the elements. I don't do that. And whoever lives, lives. Whoever survives, survives, right? But I'm going to try to tell you, because I feel like the way that I do things sometimes could be a way for you not to be successful, right? For me though, I am aware that if I do some of these things, my seeds might not survive. I'm aware of that. So I'm gonna try to tell y'all the things that will work, but you don't have to do it that way. Maybe I'll tell you both. I need a pen so I can push it down in this soil. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So one of the first things that I think is important, a lot of times you hear that you need specific seed starting mix to start your seeds. Now, I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that you have to or you don't have to. What I will say is seed starting mix is a fine soil, very loamy soil, should not have any like wood chips in it, rocks or anything like that. And that is a perfect medium. I don't use it, but it's a great medium. I found that it dries out a little bit faster than I would like it to dry out. So I don't use seed starting mixtures, but they are perfect to use. I used them before I was able to grow my seedlings, start my seedlings. Honestly, used to kind of swear by seed starting mix, but I realized they dry out a little bit faster. So seed starting mix is a mix that you can use to start your seeds. And then you just have regular potting soil. And that is what I use. I am using Fox Farm Happy Frog to start my seedlings. I have probably been doing this since spring of last year. I don't know. Originally, I was using a Miracle Grow organic. However, they stopped selling it at my local store. And then I have seen people, I think they start their seeds in things like vermiculite or just peat moss or just cocoa core. There's so many ways that you can start your seeds. So don't take what I'm saying as the gospel. I am sharing the way that I start my seeds. And I personally start my seeds with a potting soil. And the one that I'm using this year and have been using since I wasn't able to get the Miracle Grow Organics, I have started using that and it has worked out well for me. Where do I get my seeds from? I am not picky about where I get my seeds from. If I find a seed that I want on a website, I'm gonna give it a try. My battery went dead. Anyway, so there's two places that I am affiliated with. I want to go ahead and put that out there before I even start talking about it. Those two places are Haas Tools. I was purchasing Haas Tools seeds. Haas Tools seeds have had really good germination. So that's one place that I purchased from. The other place is Botanical Interest. And even before I became an affiliate, I was purchasing from Botanical Interest. I love the way that their packets look. They also have so much information on their package. And I mentioned that in my video about what seeds I was gonna start. And even inside of this package, there's more information. So that's another place that I purchase my seeds from. Feel free to leave where you purchase seeds from down in the description. I don't know every seed company. I don't know half of the seed companies. Another place that I have purchased seeds from is Baker Creek. Baker Creek is one of those places where you're gonna find things that you might not find in other places, and you'll find the basic normal things as well. But you can find some interesting things at Baker Creek. Also, Baker Creek has free shipping as well. I think you can buy one pack of seeds and you can get free shipping at Baker Creek too. There's a local place here where I get seeds from too, but the name of this company is Wetzel Seed. But I go to a local feed and seed around here, and this is one of them that they sell. It's also a company out of this area. So it's a local seed company. Whether the seeds are local or not, I do not know. I also go to my local feed and seed store. So you won't see the name on here, but they are much cheaper from my local feed and seed store. Like this is a pack, a 1/4 ounce pack of Brussels sprouts that I got for $1.75. So a little bit cheaper. M.I. Gardner, I want to say his seeds are like $2 now. He has really good seeds too. So he's here on YouTube. I'm sure most people know M.I. Gardner. Those are the seeds that we're starting today, right? So I gotta start seeds and talk at the same time, or I will be here after this video is over also starting seeds. So all right, also other people want to know, like, where do I store my seeds? So I store them in a photo case that I got from Michael's. I have two now though. I got them from Michael's and then I got one from Amazon, but it's pretty much the same thing. And that's where I store my seeds. I have one for summer and spring, and I have one for fall and winter. And what we're sowing for today is fall. And so these things can stand a frost, can stand a freeze, and they will basically grow all the way through the winter here in my area, unless we have a weird winter. Last year was a weird winter and it killed my entire garden. Not before I got my harvest though. Another thing that people are asking is, when will I be putting these seeds out in the garden? I am hopeful for mid-August. If not mid-August, late August, early September. I'm going to watch my weather. If we are like in the hundreds in mid-August, I won't be putting these seeds out. But if we are like low 90s, high 80s, I will put the seedlings out and hope for the best. I do not do a lot of covering in my garden. I am going to do a little bit of covering this season, just because if I don't, these shallots that I'm about to plant, all 72 of them, they're gonna get allium leaf mine. And so that's a little off topic, but let's get back to seed starting. Sorry, y'all. I just be talking. Y'all know, if you've been here for a while, you know I just kind of talk like we're sitting at the table together. But I also want this to be helpful. So I'm gonna bring you down here so you can see these seeds and the way that I'm planting them. I have 2 of the Green Magic packets. I hope that I have enough. I didn't think about this. I might have to order some more, but we'll see, because we need at least 70 of them, and this is 72 sales too. So one of the things that might stop you from getting good germination is if you put too deep of a hole for the seed, right? So the hole doesn't need to be any more than like 2 times the size of a seed. And these are broccoli seeds. They're pretty small. They're not huge seeds, right? So you can do one of 2 things. You can put a little indention like I'm doing right here with my nail, or I don't know what I did with my pen. So you can do like a little indention with a pen or your finger or your nail, whatever you want to do. But if you can see, it's not a huge indention. It doesn't need to be huge. I'm only going to put 1 seed into each indention because, like I said, I've had really good germination with the Haas Tool seeds, and so I'm not going to worry about putting 2 in each. Also, I realized I don't mind potting up if I could just pop the seedling out and into its next tray. So that's all we're doing, right? Let me move the camera down a little bit. You can't really see it, but the seeds are in here in this little indention. It doesn't have to be much bigger than that. My soil is not moist. It is a good idea to moisten your soil before you start to plant. I don't do that. I will water from the bottom, or I will use a spray bottle to spray the top, because at this point the seeds are only at the top. That's what you need to keep moist, the area around the seed. They don't need light at this point. The only thing they need is for the soil to be moist, and in most cases it needs to be a bit warm, and that is pretty much all that they need right now to germinate. Once they germinate, you're going to need to do other things to make sure that the seeds continue to grow, and we will do another video about that once these seeds germinate. I want to take you through the whole entire process of the seed, because I think maybe I talk about it. Let me put you up here now. I think I talk about it, but I don't really show the full process of raising a seedling from seed. And so I will make a playlist of planting, caring for them, and also putting them out into the garden. So this will be number 1, and this is starting them. There are seeds that if you read the packet, it might say something like needs scarification for germination. Scarification means somehow you need to nick the seed. So you need to do something to the seed that will make it easy for moisture to get into the seed. None of the seeds that we're doing today are like that. I've never had to do anything like that for these seeds to germinate. But you may see that on your package. A lot of larger seeds that have a harder outsides will tell you to do that. Like the seed casing is harder and thicker, it'll tell you to do that. But none of these seeds will do that. You may see something that says stratification, and that just means there needs to be a period where the seeds are cold. You can put them in your refrigerator to do that for a few weeks. There's this thing called winter sowing, but of course that has to be done during winter. So if you are trying to start these seeds now, down, you will want to put them in the refrigerator for a period of time. It will help with germination. It does not mean that you won't get any germination, but it can help with germination. Basically, the seed needs to feel like it's gone through winter and now it's in spring, and it can help with that. There are also things that tell you that you need to have light to aid germination. And when that is the case, you need to just put the seeds on the top of the soil and press them into the soil. Most of the times, these are the smaller seeds. Things like snapdragons are like that. Some of the herbs are like that because the seeds are very small. So they just don't need to be covered with a lot of soil because then it's dark. And then you have other seeds that do the exact opposite, where darkness aids germination. Off of the top of my head, I cannot think of any one of those. But there are seeds where you just want to put them in a dark space to let them germinate. But you have to keep your eye on them because once they germinate, they need light. Light is one of the biggest reasons why seedlings get leggy. Humidity is a reason why they get leggy. So when I say leggy, it's just like this really skinny, spindly seedling. It's not healthy. It's like if you were to touch it, it would break. And so here's the thing with a leggy seedling. It can be saved, but like I said, most of the times it's because the seedling is reaching for the sun or there's way too much humidity. Humidity domes are great for helping your seedlings germinate, but you have to make sure you take them off as soon as the seedlings start to germinate because it could cause several things, leggy seedlings, but it also could cause like fungal diseases as well if it's too moist and too humid. And trust me, I have dealt with that before because I am an over waterer. And one of the things that I know people want to know is like, how often do you water your seedlings? How often do you spray the top of your seedlings? It honestly depends on if the top of my seedlings are dry. So you can tell if the soil is dry because it's a brown color. If it's not dry, it's more of a black color, right? But you also can just feel the soil with your finger. It's really no different than being outside and you do a finger test. You just don't have to dig your finger down into it. So if you feel that soil and it's dry, or if you look at that soil and it looks dry, just do, observation and then feel your soil. And then if you really aren't good at telling, just water from the bottom, let the water soak in, and then at least, if they're inside, at least every 2 to 3 days, make sure you check it. I mean, I check mine every day just because it's who I am. But at least every other day is what I'm gonna say. But I would check it every day if I were you. And so now we have all of these seeds in here. I'm just pushing the soil back over it. You could actually get extra soil and just put it over top of it. I do that sometimes, but not most times, especially if the cell is filled well, and I did fill these pretty good. I just push it right back over it, right? Just like that. Not too much to it at this point. But as you can see too, there's not a lot of wood chips and things in it, but there is some. I take that kind of stuff out. I try to do it before I get it in here, but if I see it afterwards, I pull it out. Seeds are resilient, just like plants and seedlings. They will come up through this soil. One of the things that you hear is like they're not going to germinate. They can't germinate. They can't get through. It's simply not true. I would not use anything super heavy or like super woody with rocks and things in it. I said that in the beginning, but a potting soil, a light loamy potting soil. You can even sift it if you want to. Now, another thing with that is disease. I want to say disease is one of the things that they talk about. And I can't say that's not true, y'all, because I be getting aphids, something terrible. And I also have net downstairs sometimes. I have the little sticky traps that catch them. So I can't say that that's not true. But will these seeds germinate and come up through this soil? They absolutely will. One of the things, they talk about sterile soil and about putting it in the oven and baking it, putting the hot water in it. I don't do that. Not saying it's not a good thing, not saying that it doesn't work. I don't do it. I think I did it once before. It wasn't for me. But yeah, if you don't want nets or whatever in your house, you can absolutely put it in the oven. Apparently, the heat of the oven will sterilize it, or you can, put boiling hot water in it if you want to. I'm just not doing that. And people always give me suggestions and stuff like that. Like, I watch other gardeners and other YouTubers, so I know what the suggestions are. I just do it the best way that works for me. And I just don't want to put soil in my oven, and I don't want to put hot water on my soil. So I don't. But anywho, now, at this point, I'm just gonna spray it really well to make sure I moisten and hydrate the top of the soil. Cause like I said, that's where the seeds are right now. You don't really have to do bottom watering, although you can. And if you don't bottom water, you will be doing this way more often. And for me, that's okay. You can also use a humidity dome. I probably will put some humidity domes on these just to get them to germinate a little bit faster. That's what humidity domes are for. Holds in the moisture, also holds in the humidity, which is the things that seeds need to germinate. That's all of my broccoli seeds started. Now, what I will tell you too is I really need to get my greenhouse put up, the new one, because once these get big, I'm gonna want them outside. Those seeds are started. Now, they're gonna go downstairs. I'm not gonna put any lights on them. If it was winter time, I would turn the lights on because my lights help with a little bit of heat. They are LED lights, but they do give off a little bit of heat. But we don't need that right now. It's hot outside, and sometimes it's hot in this house. So we don't need that. All right, those are done. They're gonna go downstairs. Like I said, probably gonna get some humidity domes, but they're outside, and it is 1:09 in the morning. I won't be going to get those tonight. All right, so next we're going to get, I know y'all like starting seeds with me. So let's start seeds in a different type of cell tray. That's gonna be our 3.3. So this is a lot of soil. You do not, I repeat, you do not wanna soak this because the seeds are very small and there's a lot of soil in here already. So I will definitely continue to water these from the top, to spray them with my spray bottle. I don't want this soil to be soaking wet because they just don't need that much water right now. Oh, so I decided I'm not doing Godzilla broccoli. Maybe next year. I don't care that much this year. I just want my broccoli to preserve, to eat fresh, but also to preserve. We just did all green magic broccoli this year, and I think that's okay. All right, so we're gonna start with the Swiss chard, which I never went to look for other Swiss chard seeds. Honestly, it's not a big deal. I can start the other colors when I start my other seeds. So we're just going to go ahead and start these. These are ruby red, but I wanna say bright lights or something too. Anywho, those are the seeds, right? So these seeds are a little bit bigger. Let me bring you closer. I'm gonna make my indention a little bit bigger. Something like that. Can you see it? Something like that, not too big. Now, the seed packet tells you how big it need to be. I don't really pay attention to that, how deep this hole needs to be. I don't really pay attention to that, but there are things that you can use to help you kind of measure simply, like little dibbers, I think they're called, dibblers or something. And they have the measurements on it if you want to try something like that. I just personally don't do that. I don't use them. I've been gardening since 2020, starting seeds I think since 2021. I kind of knew what can work and what will work, and so I don't use those types of things, but you absolutely can. With the larger seeds though, you definitely want to make a larger little spot in your soil because you want them to be deep enough where the roots are going to be in the soil and not close to the top of the soil when they start to germinate. So then I would just go through and spray really well, but this would not be a tray that I would do bottom watering on right now. I would definitely wait until the seeds start to germinate. But I do want to make sure that the soil is nice and moist, because if this soil is like sopping wet though, like all the way through, it's a possibility that the seed could rot, and then once the plant does germinate, it's a possibility that the plant could dampen off. Dampening off is a disease. Excess moisture helps that to happen too. Definitely could use a bigger spray bottle, but it's cool. I'm gonna use the one I have in here tonight. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the Brussels sprouts. And when I start my next group of seeds, probably in a week or two, these should be germinated. And if they haven't germinated, then I know that I need to start more. So these are my Brussels sprouts. And I don't know what the actual name of these Brussels sprouts are, the variety. Got them from my local feed and seed. That's one thing about going to your local feed and seed. You might not know what the variety is, but to me, I think that's okay. I am putting 2 seeds in this one, and I put 2 of the Swiss chard in here too. They're seeds from last year. And just in case we have an issue with germination, I want to give myself at least 2 chances to get germination in here. And I am hopeful to not need to up pot any of these seedlings. I hope that they can just stay in these until it's time for me to plant them out. That's the plan here. Same thing with the cabbage, because they're in these larger pots. All right, we need to get some more water. I'll be right back. So some of the things you might see when you're starting seeds is, like I said, dampening off. And dampening off looks like somebody or something pinched the bottom of your seedling right by the soil, and the seedling fell over and it died. And it'll still be nice and green. It'll be moist, but that's because there's too much water in the soil. So that's dampening off. You know, you'll see the green sometime on the top of your soil. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's never harmed my plants. It's been there, and that's just been what it is. Now, might it be something that is harmful to plants? Maybe, but it's never harmed my plants. If you know what it is and it is harmful, go ahead and put that down in the comments, but it's never harmed my plants. I'm sharing what has happened to me. I'm not one of those people that does a whole bunch of research on stuff, and I'm definitely not the person that's gonna be able to give you the science behind it. I just know what's working for me, and that's what I share, what is working for me. All right, go ahead and spray those in. What else might you see? When they dry up, you'll know too, that they just gonna shrivel. If you also start to see like drooping, check your soil, because most of the time, a lot of the time, drooping is because the soil is dry. Especially when you're using something small like the 6 sails, they dry out pretty quickly. So overwatering, dampening off can happen. And then if the soil gets dry, it's just gonna kind of shrivel up. Broccoli rapini, I'm only gonna put 1 in here because I think these are from this year. Yeah, if I have seeds from the year I'm in, I normally only put 1 seed in there because for the most part, it normally has really good germination. Okay, and it's so crazy because one pack of seeds can last you for years, especially if you are growing on a small scale. Like I'm growing on a larger scale than I ever have, but it's still a pretty small scale for the amount of seeds that come in a packet for most seeds. You'll have that packet of seeds for quite some time. And I do like that about gardening. I also think that's how we end up with such a collection because there's something we want to try and it comes with so many seeds, but you gotta order the whole pack. So now you have that pack and then you saw something else you wanted to try, you know? So I feel like that's how we end up with all of those seeds. There's worse things that you can be buying than seeds, I think. That's me personally. A little partial to it though, because it's my thing. All right, these are purple sprouting broccoli going in from 2022. So shoot, we might even put 3 in here. That's been a while, that's 4 years. Yeah, so we're gonna put 3 in here. And if we get 3 that comes up, more than likely, I will separate them and give them their own pot and just keep it, because you never know when you might need it. Or somebody else might want to start gardening. You never know. So that whole tray is started, and I'm just gonna spray them, moisten them, and then we're gonna do the smaller one, which is still not much of a difference. And the thing with the shallot seeds is I really could have done the shallots all in one tray, or like one pot, honestly, and I could have separated them. The thing is, I don't want to have to separate them, which is why I'm going to put them in their own separate sale. Give them time to grow. And like I said, if I am lucky, they'll stay in there and I will move them from there to the garden. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'm gonna sit these over here and get the other one. And so this is the one we're putting the shallots in. And it's just like one big tray. Let me show you that the shallots will be in. We needed 60 of these total. This is 72. So with that being the case, we're gonna have more than we need, but I think that I'll find somewhere to put them if necessary. Even though, like I said, we need to make sure these are covered. Might have some extras, but we shall see. I want to try to put these into the green stalk, but I want to put like 3 into one pocket. I think we're gonna need more of these. Let's see. So these are shallot seeds. A little bit bigger than our brassica seeds, but still don't need a huge divot. And I'm gonna do all my divots first so I could just go through and drop these seeds in. I have never started seeds on this scale. I'm super excited though, especially for the broccoli. I'm really hoping to be able to preserve it like I'm doing with these tomatoes this year. I think we're gonna have a nice amount of tomato sauce, so I'm excited. And so honestly, that's really all there is to starting seeds, like putting them into these sale trays or into these pots. To me, it's just not a lot that you have to do at this point, aside from putting the seeds into the soil, making sure the soil is moist, and then watching for the germination. Because once they germinate, you really need the light. I don't know, like I really want to stress that. You really need the light once the seeds germinate, because that's what's going to keep your seeds healthy and not leggy. This is just episode 1 of seed starting. I am going to put a playlist, and as these seeds start to germinate, I'm going to start showing you exactly what I do, even if it's over a period of days, so that if you are struggling with seed starting or getting your seedlings to maturity and out into the garden, hopefully this will help a little bit, because I'm not an expert. I always say that. I'm not an expert, but so far I've done pretty well after my first few tries. I'm gonna say that because I did not do pretty well originally. After my first few tries, I've been able to start seeds, and starting seeds does, on the front end, I guess, save you money. I don't know how much money we saving with the lights and stuff like that, because people do like to ask those questions. I don't know. I have not actually done any research on how much energy I'm using to start seeds. If you're not new here, you know that's you gotta know that would not be my thing. With that being the case, I don't know. But on the front end, it is cheaper. If I go to my local feed and seed, I can get a tray, like a whole flat, for $20. If I go to another store around here, it's a trading post is what it's called. If I go to that store, I can get a flat for $15.99. And then, my goodness, I don't know the last time I bought a seed start from the big box store. It's overly expensive at Lowe's or Home Depot. If you're gonna buy seed starts, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, I definitely buy from my local feed and seed and the other store that's local. I don't buy seed starts from Lowe's, Home Depot, Tractor Supply, because they're overpriced. They're very expensive in my opinion. So that's my spiel on starting seeds, where I get my seeds from, and maybe in the next episode I'll show my seed starting station. But I've done that a few times, so I'll link that one of those videos too, of my seed starting station. Very basic seed starting station. Oh, we so close. That's wild. I'm just gonna drop the rest of these seeds in one of these trays and one of these sales, because we got 5 seeds total left. The roots are easy to separate, so I'm not tripping on that. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments and I will use them for the coming videos about seed starting, about keeping your seeds, taking care of your seedlings. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.